Hi, everyone. So I'm coming in at on the top of the episode just to say that this is a heavy trigger warning for this episode. We are going to be discussing some heavy topics, mainly surrounding violence against women, sexual assault, and everything that comes with that, domestic violence, all of that. So this is going to be a heavier topic. So if you need to skip this one, by all means, please do.
What's up, everyone? This is the Next Tape podcast, episode 185 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
real conversations on different topics. So, we're doing our fourth episode on our special Women's History Month edition. If you want to check out the last three, it's available right now. Tanyka will provide us with the names of those episodes. So, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to? Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So the first one we did was about Alison Botha. The second, which technically came out last week, was one we did on Elizabeth Smart and Elizabeth Thomas. The third one was Monica Lewinsky.
Mhm.
And this one is going to be about Lorena Bobbitt. So,
All right.
before we head into this episode,
Mhm.
Mikel, have you heard about the story about Lorena Bobbitt?
No, I haven't. Never heard the story.
Okay.
No.
Well, let's just say for any men out there, you might be like, oh my God. For
Right.
women, we're just like, whoa, sorry about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So most of my notes, because anything I saw online just didn't give me what I was looking for this topic. So I ended up watching a documentary that's available on Prime. It's called Lorena. It's also says season 1, but I think there's only one season. But it's called Lorena, and it's I think it's 4 or 5 episodes. So yeah, my notes isn't gonna have everything that happened in this documentary. So if you want to watch this documentary and you get a lot of the extra stuff, definitely recommend. It was pretty well done. Okay,
Okay.
so let's get into it. So we're in June 23rd, 1993, in Manassas, Virginia. There was a call for police to go to the hospital. They said, so this guy, he walked into Prince William Hospital. He was assaulted by his wife. Okay, so you hear this, you're thinking, oh, maybe she kicked him, maybe she punched him, maybe she scratched at him and whatever, right? That's what you're probably thinking, right? And no. It might, y'all need to send somebody over there. The guy was in some serious pain. Okay. The police gets to the hospital. It was then that he was told, yeah, so this guy's wife pulled his off. Clean off. Now, to stress, she didn't pull his off. She cut it with a knife.
Interesting.
Right. Now, we're going to get into, because stay with me, everybody. We're going to get into why this happened.
Yeah.
How this happened.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anything like this has ever happened before or since. Now, women who are in relationships with men or have been in relationships with men, we all say it sometimes. Oh, if you cheat on me, I'm going to cut it off, or
Mhm.
if you do this,
Mhm.
I'm gonna cut it off. We're not actually going to. So what drove her to do that?
Uh, she literally did it.
Hmm?
So she literally did it. So
She literally did it. So over the radio, they say the hospital needs it ASAP. We need his back so we can secure his, and I quote, dignity.
mm,
Because men, get to the house, get the peace. Like, this
mm,
is insane, right?
mhm,
The police look at the injury. There was only his testicle, no. I'm gonna say testicles. I'm gonna assume
mhm,
he has
mhm,
both of them, but no. And trust me, just a warning for anyone who does decide to watch this documentary, y'all, they show it. They show his severed. It's quite disgusting. But her handiwork was wow. Anyways,
mm,
a
mhm, mm,
urologist is like, no one could find his. It just disappeared. Like, where to go? It
wow.
wasn't heard from. It was missing in action. We're gonna get all the jokes, and now because it's gonna get dark later. Sorry, Mikkel, not jokes, but you know what I mean. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought we're headed to a place of sitting on a toilet to pee because if we can't find his,
Mhm,
well, he's gonna have to sit. So John Wayne Bobbitt is his
yeah.
name. That's her
Mhm,
husband's name. He was
mhm,
actually in this documentary, which I thought fantastic. Not fantastic in a good way, fantastic in a whoa, he's here. Because I obviously know the story. I know where this is going. So seeing him, I'm just like, whoa, he's actually here. Okay. So he's here. He's talking about his memory in present day for what happened back then. He said all that he remembered is her playing with him. Okay. Remember that. She was playing with him, he says, maybe wanting to have sex. And then she cut it off. Okay. So just hold on to his recollection of what he said happened that night. He believed she did this because he was filing for divorce. I thought she would be happy to call it quits because
mm,
the what I'll tell you here based on what he just said there,
right.
they were unhappy. They were they were unhappy. That's all I'm going to say at this point. We'll get into it more later.
Yeah.
Detectives at first thought she swallowed the pea. Men,
Hmm.
ain't no woman doing that. We barely want to do when it's attached to your body. So why would we do that when it's not attached to your body? It's worse, disgusting.
Hmm.
Anyways, so no, that is not what happened.
Yeah.
When they
Hmm.
got to the house, into the room, it was a bloody scene. An inch deep of blood was on the bed. Like, that's how
Oh,
much
wow.
blood he lost. He laid there for a long time because he was extremely intoxicated
Mhm.
and he most likely did not even feel the pain. So remember that as well. Hold on to that memory for when we get deeper into this.
Right.
So in the kitchen, they were looking for the knife that she used. They found pamphlets on rape and spousal protection.
Hmm.
So, why were these materials in this house? Right? Okay. With Lorena, she drove to her work, her place of employment. She worked in a nail salon, by the way. It was the middle of the night as well. No one was there. She went to go see her friend Jana and told her, I cut off his. So she
Hmm.
went to the police to report a sexual assault. Okay. Just so we can preface, she's not referring to the cut. She's referring to a sexual assault that was perpetrated onto her by her husband.
Interesting.
But the police said, we need to look for his. Where is his? Because that's the only thing that these men can think about. Where is the? Okay. She said, I remember tossing things out of the car, but she doesn't recall whether or not one of those things were his. saying we say a lot in this episode.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, this is what this is.
Yeah.
So they she didn't know if she tossed that out the window or not, but she does remember being near a 7-Eleven, so maybe that's where it could have been. So she threw
Mhm.
the knife into a garbage can while she was at work, and it
Now
was go ahead.
now was she intoxicated or, or did she black out, or did she just, like, basically if she doesn't know where to
Where it is.
yeah.
Mhm. Um, can I answer that later? Because I do
Yeah,
have an answer for you,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I wanna say with
Yeah,
this because it's
yeah,
gonna be relevant for later,
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
but there is an answer for that. Um, so
Mhm,
yeah, so she threw the knife, at in the garbage can at work, and it was garbage day. So they had to get there fast in
mhm,
order to ensure that they could get the knife because once garbage is picked up, well,
mhm,
they're out of luck. They won't be able to get that. So the religious men did not want, well, we say religious men, but these men,
mhm,
they did eventually find his. They didn't want to touch it because,
mhm,
ew, it's gay to touch someone else's, even though it's not attached to his body.
uh-huh,
You know what I mean? But they took it to the 7-Eleven. They
right.
got it on ice in a hot dog bag.
Hmm,
So, because obviously you need to keep it on ice,
mhm.
otherwise
It would just
it won't be able to be used.
yeah.
So, so they get his back on. The urologist was able to do that, make sure it's working good, blood flow, so it's all good. They were able to fix him, give him back his dignity, as they say. A nurse there said, "We were thinking, what did he do for her to do this to him?"
Hmm,
So Lorena had to do a rape kit because remember, she said there was a sexual assault.
mhm,
She told them he raped her all of the time during their marriage. The more she fought, the more he would want to rape her. Hold on to that
mm,
because we're going to elaborate on that again in a little bit.
yeah,
His brothers wanted to kill, I say her, but I think him. She, oh, sorry, yeah, his brothers. So his brothers wanted to kill her because, oh my God, she cut his off. So we got to go
mhm,
like avenge
mhm,
him. He's not dead. His screwed back on. It's
mhm,
fine.
mhm,
But she did worse than kill him. She took the thing that men love the most, their penis. Get a grip, please. God.
right, right,
You know what women love the most? Not being assaulted by men. But here we are. But anyways, in 1990, their reported rapes was 100,000. And again, I'm more than positive it's probably underreporting.
mhm,
Um, there's actually the belief that there could be about 1,000,000 at that time of rapes. Women don't report because they are
mhm,
not believed. We learn about this woman named Anita Hill, who I definitely want to do an episode on because I've
mhm,
never heard of this before, and
mhm,
I definitely want to do this. So, Anita Hill, she accused Clarence Thomas of raping her.
mhm,
I believe she worked for him. He was found not guilty by the Senate. And let me stress this too. Not only was she a woman, but she was a Black woman, and he was a Black man. So it's interesting to kind of even see in that case because if they wouldn't hesitate to turn on that Black man if he did something wrong, really truly did something, well, she did do something wrong, you know what I mean? And they were able to prove that he did something wrong. They wouldn't
mhm,
hesitate to turn on him. But when it's something like this, because it's a woman accusing him of this, and then it's a Black woman accusing him of this, he didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? It's that was surprising to me. This kind of how nuanced that particular story seems to be. So we'll be talking about that on a later time. Um, the
So
next, go ahead.
so I know a lot of people are just like, Like, how can someone be married and, and rape somebody? Like, people get confused about that.
Yeah. Do you understand, though? At least do
Yeah,
you understand and I can
I don't
explain it?
understand. I understand, but
Yeah.
there's people out there that,
Yeah. And that
that,
was the case in
that think like,
this. That was the case in this case is
yeah,
because, again, like, I
yeah,
think people still struggle with it today. Imagine 30 years ago.
yeah,
And there will be mention of that in
yeah,
this, but they would say, like, it's not rape if you're married.
yeah,
But of course it can still be rape.
yeah. Because like, a woman can come from work tired,
Mhm.
and and the husband could want it, and then she says no, and then
Mhm.
the husband can just force, you know,
Yeah.
be aggressive, and
Yeah.
that's basically they call it marital
Marital
rape.
rape. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But rape is rape, right?
yeah,
Like, just because you're married doesn't change
yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah,
It just means
yeah,
that the person who's supposed to love and care for you the most
yeah,
is still hurting you.
yeah.
And I do wanna stress too, because I didn't mention this initially because, it just didn't occur to me, but I guess I probably should mention this because it is gonna be relevant.
Mhm, mhm,
Lorena is a Hispanic woman.
mhm.
She was from where was she? Was she from Ecuador? Am I getting her confused with somebody else? I think she was from Ecuador.
Yeah,
Um, so she and already English is her second language. So she when she met him and
mhm,
then would subsequently marry him, she had only been in the country for a couple of years, 2, 3 years. 2 years when she met him, and they got
yeah,
married less than a year later.
yeah.
So, there's also going to be this this racism attached to it as well,
Right.
and immigration,
Mhm.
um, abuse as well. And, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so the next day, it was all over the news. Comedians using it for their acts, because ain't nothing funnier than a man losing his and John Bobbitt wanted to do the same. He wanted to, you know, get the attention from what happened. Trust me, there's gonna be a lot of that with him. Then we start asking, will he have a normal sex life again? I wrote, who cares? I don't care if he's gonna have a normal sex life again.
Mhm.
Because if what is true, which you'll know where I stand very soon, I don't care if he's able to have sex again. As far as I'm concerned, he should never have gotten it back because then he wouldn't hurt other people.
Well, I wouldn't say it's that funny, but like in terms of like the situation, yeah.
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
the situation of it is
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
who who really like,
yeah,
would never chop my man's off.
yeah.
I
Like, yeah,
wouldn't
no,
do that.
for like, yeah,
I
no,
will joke and be like, "Oh, it's useful more for
yeah,
it's
yeah,
on
yeah,
you," right?
yeah,
But really and truly, it's like, I don't wanna no, that's weird, like, why would you do that?
yeah.
So, to know that, like, she ended up in a state where she was able to do that,
Mhm,
I and then he, like, lost his and she threw it
mhm,
out a window, like,
mhm,
like, that whole thing, yes, that part of the story is hilarious.
mhm.
What's to follow after we kinda get past the meat and potatoes of this is also gonna be hilarious, like, what happens with him, because it's just like, how ridiculous. This story is insane, but this story is also so important for
Right, right,
women's rights as well.
right.
So, Jana hired Lorena, a lawyer, and a
Mhm,
media representative
mhm,
because she was gonna need both. Usually for sex crimes, the victims are not named in the press. But because she had hired a publicist, it became a free for all. So they printed her name. So that's how we know who she is.
mhm.
Lorena was going to do an interview with Vanity Fair. They did a photo shoot for this. So she she didn't really want to do these types of things, she hasn't done a lot. I mean, she's done interviews for sure, but she hasn't done a lot of interviews. Um, but anything that she does do, kind of going ahead a little bit here, but anything she does do is to advocate. Um, so that's kind of the difference with her and her counterpart. So, um, so she ended up being charged with malicious wounding. She did not have an attorney, um, and no one told her that she should have one. But technically, she had a lawyer, but I'm not sure if the lawyer was more for media, a media lawyer. So I'm not sure why she didn't have an attorney, or maybe this is when she was being interviewed. I'm not sure. So that could have been it. Um, so unfortunately, she told the police, um, hold on, or
Yeah.
she had told them in her broken English that, he would orgasm and he doesn't wait for me to orgasm. This is a line that would be repeated over and over again in a courtroom to make her seem that the only reason she cut his off was because he wasn't pleasing her or he was a selfish lover.
Mm.
Let me say, on the one hand, is this probably true? 100%. He didn't care about her pleasure. Of course not.
Yeah.
Not this guy. But what she was not saying, and as far as I'm concerned, if you can tell, I mean, technically she's supposed to ask for one. You can't just assume that she needs an interpreter. But I feel like she should have had an interpreter in the room. She should have been speaking Spanish, and maybe in Spanish she would have been able to properly say, "No, he's raping me." Because
Mm.
what I'm hearing here, based on what she's saying, is he's not waiting for me because he's raping me. So he doesn't, in those moments, he's not caring about her pleasure. He's only caring about his. And let's not get it twisted. His pleasure isn't having sex. His pleasure is control. So that's very different. But she just wasn't able to properly say that
Right.
because she was very new in learning English. She was 20, I think she was 23 when this
Mhm.
happened. She had
Mhm.
only been, or 24, I think. She had only been in the States for about 5 years, and
Wow.
she had only just started learning English right before she met him. She was
So
doing
she's
yeah.
she was an immigrant and
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes. So and he took advantage of that. He
Mhm.
took advantage of the fact that she was an immigrant. So
Mm.
it, so she didn't have, like, a proper grasp of the English language at that time. Like, you hear her now, she
Mm.
speaks, eloquently, but
Right.
then she there's just certain words that don't translate properly from Spanish to English and vice versa. And also, she is a woman, she's a shy woman. Let's also say this part. He was her first. She was a virgin when she married him. So, imagine a woman who, you know, is very Catholic. She's very naive,
Mhm.
and she's not gonna feel comfortable talking about sex or things surrounding sex with a bunch of men. So she's not gonna say certain things that maybe someone else maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with. I say a little bit because barely in a situation like this. So, you know, it's unfortunate that she said these words, but I understand what she's trying to say.
Mm.
So anyway, she would continue on to say, "It's selfish, it's unfair, and that's why I did it."
Mm.
But again, that makes her sound like she just did this, like she's like a femme fatale, and that's not what
Right.
this is. Um, so John was not charged at all for his actions at this point,
Mhm.
but women's groups were pissed and were pushing for it to happen. He ended up being charged with raping and battering his wife, but it was showing that he was the battered one. So that's the thing. Like, he's being charged with this, but let's not forget he's also the one that was maimed in this process. So it's kind of hard to mince that,
Mhm.
which I get. Um, he also denied having sex with her that night. So, what started to come out of this um was like as you said earlier, was can a husband rape his wife? Or is it because you're married, it's just
Mhm.
sex? So he was charged with malicious sexual assault, which carried a lesser sentence than rape, which is insanity to me. So basically, like rape was, I think, 20 plus years, whereas
Mhm.
this was like a few years. But in a 2020 episode, she said that he forced him to have sex all of the time. So he's saying she forced him
Crazy.
to have sex all the time. It was put out there that she did not only she did this only because she was dissatisfied with with their sex life, which again, um, as I said to you earlier, this was a woman who was a virgin when she met him. They had been married, I think, for maybe 2 or 3 years at this point. Sure, you're gonna have your expectations over time. You're gonna get a little bit more comfortable with sex over time.
Right.
So, sure, you're gonna have like things you want and expect and whatever, fine.
Mhm.
But when you're also being, of course, we don't know this at this point, but when you're constantly being raped all the time, something tells me that all she wants is to not be touched by him. So she
Right.
doesn't want to be touched by him. So she's not dissatisfied with their sex life. She doesn't want their sex life.
Is there a reason why she stayed? If she
Fear,
wasn't that happy?
fear. She also wasn't telling. Well, here's the thing.
Mhm.
I want to be careful with that question too, because
Mhm.
when a woman is being abused in a
Mhm.
relationship,
Right.
and this is talked about again a little bit, like I'll kind of have the stats here, but I can just
Mhm.
say it here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, it takes a really long time for a woman to leave her husband. It could take, I believe it's 7 attempts to
Right.
leave,
Right.
and no woman is more vulnerable than in the 6 months following leaving. That's when women tend to be killed. So we can ask all about like why didn't she leave? She didn't leave because she was an abused woman. She didn't leave because she was scared. She didn't leave because um she didn't feel like she had anyone. It's not that she didn't. She did. She had family friends that she had been living with prior to marrying him that she could have gone to. She had
Uh-huh.
her boss, she had other friends. She didn't have many friends, but she did have those people. Just people she could have gone to. But those are also all people that he knows of and can find her there. Her family didn't live in the country at the time. She had no one. So when you feel like you have no one, and he's also threatening her, because we haven't gone to this, but he's also threatening her immigration status if she were to
Uh-huh.
leave
Mhm.
him, she's terrified. What do I do?
Uh,
And she's young. She's very young. Like like I said, she's 23 at the time. Like
mhm.
it's a scary time.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
so John Wayne Bobbitt trial was going first. They wanted it to go first. The night of the incident, he went out with his friend Robbie and they were drinking. He didn't believe he was under the influence at all, although his friend would say, well, I was drunk and I had pretty much the same amount as him, except he had one extra shot. We'll kind of get into whatever the shot this is, but the shot that he had and a beer. So they had the same amount, which was, I think, I think he had about 3 or 4 different shots, and then he had like 3 or 4 different beers. Sorry, but you can't tell me you weren't intoxicated. You were intoxicated. But he wants to play it down and be like, it was candy drinks. No, you were drunk.
Hmm.
Anyways, so they could only talk about 5 days prior to the incident. So anything in terms of this is in terms of like his malicious assault, sexual assault, right? So they can only talk about anything that happened 5 days prior to this incident. Anything that happened prior to that is off the table, which, as Lorena kind of said in this, she's like, 5 days prior, like, there's a very huge possibility that nothing happened 5 days prior, or he didn't rape her 5 days prior. Maybe it was more verbal than anything. Like, 5 days prior is nothing. So he had raped her, saying, trigger for this, guys, because this is horrible. Forcing sex excites me, is what he would say to her.
That's disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. The next day, they had sex again, consensually this time, because he would force her anyway, so might as well
Hmm.
just consent. And that again, just because it's considered quote unquote consensual does not mean it's consensual. It's just a way for women to survive so that we don't get hurt more.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of us do that at some point in our lives.
Mm.
So, one juror said, I was confused because one minute she would be acting like a victim, and then another minute she was trying to be a strong person. Like, pick a theme. Off. Off. What is how is this basing on how she was dressing? What does how she's dressing have to do with anything?
Hmm.
These are
What's
the
this?
type.
So
Go
what's
ahead.
this? What was it? The judge or what's this? The
This was
husband
a
that said
juror.
the juror?
A juror, yeah, because it was a jury trial. So,
So
because she was a witness at his
okay,
trial. Yeah.
right.
And he would be a
Oh,
witness at hers.
so what's the jury of this person? What's she female or a male or
I think she was female. And
female?
female women are the worst.
Mm.
Women are the worst when it comes to shaming other women.
Hmm.
We do it. Men are bad. Women are 10 times worse, and it drives me insane.
Hmm.
Um. Okay. So then there was the issue of her panties because her panties came into this. She said that he had ripped them. It would have had to be cut, though, with scissors, according to an expert. That ripping them wasn't possible. Where did she go after she left? We ask ourselves. Well, her place of employment, where there are going to be scissors there. Tell me you haven't been inside a nail salon without telling me you haven't been inside a nail salon. Of course, there's going to be regular old scissors for something, whether it's you're using it for wax strips, like for not wax strips, but strips to wax or whatever. Sure, possible. But because I did do stuff like that as well. But uh, when I think nail salon, I think nail scissors, which are not going to cut panties.
Hmm.
It's just not because they're not meant for that purpose. They're meant for your nails, maybe your eyebrows. That's it. But anyways, whatever they say. So after 4 hours of deliberations, he was found not guilty. Mhm. So the difference of both trials was he didn't his didn't allow cameras. Hers though would allow cameras, which is because of his being a sexual assault case.
Hmm.
Those are usually closed courtrooms, so that's totally understandable. But for hers, even though they would talk about these things, these is going to be sexual in nature. It's because it's a malicious wounding case. So that changes things and opens it up to potential recording.
Hmm. Okay, I see.
which I think it shouldn't have. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
in between trials, John was all over the media against his lawyer's advice. Trust me, it won't end there. They offered a plea deal of 4 months prison time if she admitted prior intent to to you know she intended to cut his off. She said no, because if I have a felony, I won't be able to be a citizen. She's wanted to move to the States since she was 16 when her family had visited the States. She was 18 when she did eventually move, like I mentioned to you before. She was there on a student visa and she learned English by taking ESL and watching TV. But now we're at Lorena's trial. When John was on the stand, uh, hold on. Oh,
Yeah.
he said that she would get upset about him working at a bar because he had gotten a job at a bar because, well, women are gonna, like, flirt with him and he's gonna cheat on her, which I don't know how plausible that is. It's possible she could have felt that way,
Mhm.
but that's, to me, irrelevant to why we're here, but okay. But I think, again, they're trying to paint her as, like, a femme fatale versus a battered woman.
Right.
There was 2 friends that went on the stand saying she, while waiting in line, so friends of his waiting in line at a bumper cars started scratching at him, and so they're trying to show, like, again, she's a violent person. A coworker said while talking about it, if like, talking about whether or not their husbands would cheat, like, what would you do? And the coworker kind of joked and said, "Oh, I would kill him." But I was joking. Like, I told her I was joking.
Mhm.
Um, and apparently Lorena said, which I don't believe is for a second, well, Lorena said, "Well, I would just cut his off because it would hurt more than killing him." I don't think she ever said that. I'm
Mm.
just putting that out there. I don't believe she ever said that.
Mm.
Um, because I'll say this why I say I don't believe it. She wouldn't talk to people about what was going on in her marriage. So why would she say that? Doesn't make any sense. Anyways,
Mhm.
but again, even if she did say something like that, what did I say in the beginning? We've all joked at some point in time, "Oh, we're gonna cut it off," but
Yeah.
not actually mean it. It will never
Yeah.
actually happen.
Yeah.
Um, they also talked about her unhappiness with their sex life, that she said he would orgasm and not wait for me. Let's talk about the response for a second. Women would be like, "Hell, I would do it too." If a man is raping me or assaulting me, Imma do the same thing she did.
Mm.
Um, it gave women the strength that we didn't have before that she did it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe wouldn't go to extremes of cutting your off, but
I
it
mean,
gave us
to be fair, she's not the only one in probably in the world that has done it.
oh, no,
It's probably a lot of
I'm sure there
yeah, it's probably a
probably
lot of
are
women.
others.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say a lot of women, but I'm sure there
Yeah.
are people who
Yeah.
have had this happen to them before as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think at the time, it was just never heard of. It was like, this
Mhm.
never happened?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's
Yeah,
also a
that's
white
true.
man.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. Um, back to the trial. So,
Mhm.
Lorena
Mhm.
is on the stand now. She never dated, like I said, before John. They dated for
Mhm.
10 months, and their dates were also chaperoned, so they didn't have a lot of alone time before they got married. Family wouldn't have allowed it because they were Catholic, very devout. So chances are they were never intimate prior to getting married, which I would be confirmed later. She was a virgin.
Mhm.
So he never showed violence to her during courtship. He proposed to her by fetching a ring at the bottom of a pool,
Huh.
and then they were married. They had some happy moments, she said, but things started to change fairly quickly. He couldn't keep a job. Their only steady income was her income, which again, she was a nail tech at a nail salon. So I imagine she wasn't making a whole lot of money and probably relied on tips as well. Um, they had
Right.
about a home, but it was foreclosed on because they couldn't make the bills. She had stolen from her employer at the time while at Nordstrom. So I guess at the time she wasn't working at the nail salon, she was working at Nordstrom because they had to pay their bills. Like, she stole not for want, she stole for necessity. Problem is, she also stole clothes, which made it seem like, oh, you're saying you stole for necessity, but then why did you steal clothes? And she said, well, I wanted to look pretty for him because he
Mhm.
would say I wasn't pretty.
Mm.
So
Mm.
the abuse start and by the way, she's beautiful. Like
Mhm.
he's I mean, he's a goblin now. I'm not gonna say he
Mhm.
was ugly back then. He
Mhm.
wasn't,
Mhm.
but he's a goblin inside, and that's probably why he looks like a goblin now. Anyway,
Mm.
um, the abuse started about a month after they got married. While driving home, he was drunk and was swerving, and she grabbed the wheel, because that's what someone would do. And he started punching her. She was crying. Oh, and did I forget to say his brother was in the back seat while this was all happening?
Oh,
Uh-huh.
wow.
And you know what the brother was doing? She said, "I could see him, through, like, the window," and he was just shaking his head, yes, as if in approval.
Interesting.
This whole
Well,
family is
hmm.
but those are the same brothers that were like, "I'm gonna kill her." Yet you literally watched your brother abuse her. But okay, sounds about right. The police did show up many times, but in this particular incident, they did show up. And he asked, "Do you have somewhere to go?" Like, the police officer asked her, "Do you have somewhere to go?" She said, "No, but I'll leave." And she ended up going to what would have been the nail salon, and she slept in her car. It will never it will never not blow my mind that when a victim is victimized by either an intimate partner, well, in this case, we'll just say an intimate partner, that it's usually the victim that has to vacate the premises, not the perpetrator of said crime. Will never not just blow my mind. But, um, so yeah, she didn't tell anyone about this. Neighbors would hear fighting. They would see her carrying groceries when they would go grocery shopping, while
Mhm.
he was just, in the back, just, acting macho, they would say, not carrying nary a bag, but a man.
Huh.
At Christmas, he gave her a gift in front of, because again, she did have, like I said, I've mentioned before, she had family friends. So they were doing Christmas with the family friends. I'm not sure if his family was there. I probably, but I don't know. So he gave her this gift. She opens it, and it's, as she described, small underwear, but we're gonna probably say it was probably like a G-string, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And she got embarrassed because, again, this is a woman who is very conservative. She probably does not want, although it's probably, you know, you would hope married couples are having sex.
Uh-huh.
This is something you want everyone to know. You don't want everyone to know your business.
Yeah.
So,
You want to be private. Yeah.
right,
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
right. Even if you're not married, like if
Mhm.
you're in a relationship with somebody, you're not out here talking about your sex life,
Yeah.
details, and all that, right? Like you're just not. It's private.
Mhm.
So, because she got embarrassed and she walked off, he got mad and he ended up pinning her against the wall and eventually did let her go because let's face it, he's not going to punch her in front of all of these people and called her a bitch for not be, I guess, being appreciative of the skimpy ass underwear that he gave her.
Mm.
There's a time and there's a place. And again, where's that benefiting her? I always believe if you're going to give someone like a gift like that, you
Uh-huh.
should
Uh-huh.
also be giving them a gift for which is for them and they are gonna benefit from.
Mm.
Lingerie, that's for you. That's not for me.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So, like, you could have given her something, like, something nice. That's for her. Like, he
Yeah.
couldn't do it because he didn't care about her, but, something that's for her, and give her the underwear in the privacy of your own home.
Mhm.
But he wants to humiliate her, so
Huh.
Um, so their documentation of the abuse there is documentation of the abuse because police came out numerous times, like I mentioned. People saw the bruises on her as well. So there is I'll just say this from the jump, there is photographic proof that she was being abused. So, luckily, defense brought on so many witnesses to testify to the bruises that they have seen on her or the fights they had witnessed. Lorena says that he would grab her arm and he would choke her. Neighbors noted they would see her wearing extra makeup to hide possible scars. John would tell people that he was friends with, that he liked to make women squirm, bleed, and them up the ass.
Wow.
So that's
Deranged.
very deranged.
Mhm.
And please hold on to that part as well, because that's
Mhm.
going to come full circle as well.
Yeah.
Sorry to say you have to hold on to that, but you do.
Yep.
They believed he was telling the truth, his friends did.
Mhm.
We see her talking about the first time that he did um, have anal sex with her. And she said it was very difficult for her to talk or I'm saying it was very difficult for her to talk about this. She she could barely get through it. It was absolutely heartbreaking. And this was at the time, not today, but at the time she couldn't get through it. Um, so I won't go into the details of what she said.
Mhm.
You can watch it if you want to know, but it is horrible because it wasn't consensual. He just did it.
Huh.
And like it doesn't matter like I say this because it's fact in this case. He was on the smaller end in terms of his size,
Huh.
but it doesn't matter the size of a man's genitalia.
Uh-huh.
When you're forcing anal sex on somebody,
Uh-huh.
which in this case, it's not anal sex, it's sodomy. When you're sodomizing somebody, it it's painful.
Huh.
I mean, I I don't wanna go into details of my sex life to kind of make this make sense, but here's what I'll say. It can sometimes feel like the breath is leaving your body, that
Uh-huh.
you can't breathe, and it feels like a sword is stabbing you, and that's when it's consensual. So imagine when it's not, and I just can't imagine
Uh-huh.
what this poor girl was going through at the
Yeah.
hands of her husband. So, when this scumbag gets on the stand, he says, "I didn't force sex on her, but
Yeah.
I shoved her or I strained her, but it was, it was because it was so she wouldn't attack me."
Mhm.
This will be his narrative up until today. She would attack me, so I only did these things to, protect myself. Okay. None of that's true, but okay. But guess what he was charged, with through the military, because I didn't mention that. He was a part of the military. When he met her, he was part of the military. So while he was a part of the military, he got charged with, assault and battery, and he ended up pleading guilty, which would then ultimately have him removed from the military, and that's why he didn't have a steady income. So, yeah. He tries
Huh.
to backtrack, of course, but he was saying, he was drunk. He says or he was saying, people saying he was drunk. He's saying he wasn't drunk, but the police say we smelled alcohol on him. Like he was drunk. He also denied telling people he enjoyed forced sex. His credibility is definitely tarnished, though, in this case. The question now was she mentally ill, or did she know what she was doing, but couldn't control the impulse? So that was the defense here. Is it that um, she essentially was being charged with our standards here in Canada? Was she being charged as guilty or not guilty for reasons of insanity? That's basically what they're trying to, find out here.
Was this guy raised by people or was he raised by raccoons? Because like it sounds
Oh,
like
let's not
he
do that
was
to the
raised by
raccoons.
yeah.
Let's not do it to the
No.
raccoons. The
Sorry,
raccoons
the
are sweet.
rats. The rats,
Oh,
sorry.
don't even do it to the rats either.
Oh, sorry. The piece of shit in the ground.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Seriously, though.
Uh,
Clearly, because look at his like, the fact that, like, he's punching on her and his brother's in the
yeah.
back seat, like, not
Yeah.
nodding in acknowledgement, like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dude." Clearly, these people were raised well, you know what? This is gonna come when I get to the end of this,
Mhm.
I'll tell you why this family is the way that they are.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and then we have what I call, Skategate. So Skategate happened. Mikkel, do you know about Skategate? You probably don't. Do
Never
you
heard of it,
know
no.
Nancy Kerrigan? You
No,
heard
never
of
heard
Nancy Kerrigan?
no, I haven't heard of her,
Have you heard of
no.
Tanya Harding?
No.
Okay.
Did
I'm
no.
not gonna tell you anything because I'm gonna make this an episode one day. I
Mhm.
gotta talk about this. This that
Mhm. Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
crazy. So, for those who know Skategate, knows Nancy Kerrigan, knows Tanya Harding, you know Skategate. Um, and then Menendez brothers also happened. So there's all these different things in the media that's happening now
Mhm.
that is, you know, adding to things.
Mhm.
OJ will be talked about very shortly. We're just not quite there yet.
Mhm. Mhm.
So she got pregnant, we find out, like when they were still together, if you want to call it that. She stopped taking her this 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 part, like, I don't want to shame her in this, but at the same time I'm thinking this is the one thing that I'm actually like, ooh, I don't know if I could be on her side with this.
Mhm.
And I kind of actually in this one thing, I'm kind of on his side about. You don't ladies, please don't ever do what I'm about to say. Don't ever do this. So, she got pregnant. She had stopped taking her birth control that she was on because she wanted to be a mother. She did not tell him that she did that. That is not good. Do not tell. Do not do
Mhm.
this. And not to mention, I think in her mind, she thought that maybe if she were to get pregnant or they were to have a baby, that maybe things would be better. Children are not band-aids. They are not band-aids. So, j I'm not happy for what's about to happen with this,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I'm happy that a child was not brought into this world that was made by him
Mhm.
because she would have been tied to him for the rest of her life. Don't ever do this. In a good situation, bad situation, never do this. Um, she thought things like I said, she thought things would be better if you got pregnant. I'm gonna assume that, like I said, he didn't know because he was shocked when he found out she was pregnant. He said they weren't ready, but he also told her she wouldn't be a good mom. Now, you lost me on that. Do I agree they weren't ready? 100%. Do I agree
Mhm.
she would not have been a good mom? No, I don't agree with that. So you lost me there. He said that he won't support it, meaning he won't support a child. You gotta choose me or the baby. So he says they agreed to abort the baby, but she says, I was brought there against my will to have an abortion. She says she felt guilty about it, which obviously this is a woman who wanted this baby. This is a woman who is also Catholic. As Catholics, we don't believe in abortion.
Mhm.
So I'm sure there's so many different things that are just firing in her brain about this.
Excuse me.
Um,
Excuse me.
then he would demean her by commenting on her looks, her ethnicity. He would say, "If you divorce me, you'll be deported. You won't get the green card." He would say, "You don't deserve to be in this country." Um, then Spanish radio got a hold of what was going on with this case. And boy, did the Hispanic community just come flooding, as they should. They came out to support her, but I don't know exactly where they ended up, but they were trying to get to Manassas because that's where the court case was being held in Manassas, but they couldn't get there by public transit. So
No.
majority of them weren't able to get there at first. They will eventually get there. Um, but yeah, as I said, they were able to eventually get there, and they were out there all day to cheer her for just 30 seconds, watching her enter into the courtroom and watching her leave the courtroom just to support her. And I actually, like, back I got a little teary when I saw that. She tells us that she couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat, she would, be sick. She was
Uh-huh.
dealing with anxiety. And here's another factoid. 4 million women a year would get battered by their partners. People would be killed. There was no funding for shelters back then either, so there was no escaping. That's kind of what started the battered women syndrome discussion, which they would call the battered wife syndrome, but that's a misnomer. It's battered woman syndrome. Um, then just because I hate him and I want to put him out there because I hate him and he's probably in the Epstein files, Alan Dershowitz is like, well, she didn't do the one thing that she should have. She didn't leave. You, Alan. Did you also want to talk about your association with Jeffrey Epstein? OJ? Get out of here. I hate Alan Dershowitz. By the way, you may not know, he's a lawyer. He's a defense attorney. He's a very
Mhm.
popular defense attorney. Um, so, as we know, a man is most likely to kill a woman when she leaves. So within the 6 months after she leaves, she could be killed in the process, killed in the process of trying to leave, or in the direct 6 months after leaving.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, that has proven to be unfortunately accurate. So, on the night when he was out with his friend Robbie, if you remember, those shots that he was taking, they were called B52. He had two of those. And he also then had 5 beers. Now, I don't know what's in these B52 shots. I didn't Google it. I don't care. But I've taken a shot before a couple of times. I've had tequila shots. That's that one shot, you feel like the happiest person alive. Okay. Add the fact then you have 2 shots and then you also have 5 beers. No, this guy was lit the hell up. You can't convince me otherwise.
Uh-huh.
Um, he went home and he went to sleep. And an hour later, he woke up and he was touching her and he rolled on top of her. But then he said that he fell asleep. So that's from his perspective. From her perspective, maybe everything is accurate. He went out, he came home, he fell asleep, he woke up. Maybe that part's accurate. But she says he pinned her down. His right shoulder was on her face and her mouth. She told him, "I don't want to have sex." And then he raped her. And she was crying, but she also couldn't breathe. He was hurting her. She says, "It felt like, oh God, trigger warning for what I'm about to say if you need to skip ahead 10 seconds." Um, she said that um, it felt like her vagina was ripping open.
Wow.
She asked, "Why do you do this to me again and again?" And he said nothing. He just pushed her away when he was done with her like she's trash. She told him, "You don't care about my feelings." Currently, like in today, he remembers those words that she had said, but says it was because he didn't want to, he didn't want to have sex that night. What's the big deal? right?
Mm.
She needed to get away, so she went to the kitchen. This is from her perspective. She went to go in the kitchen and get some water. She says she felt like a zombie, and then she saw the knife being illuminated by the fridge light. And she says in that moment, all of these flashbacks of his words, the rape came to her in that moment, all of it, not just that particular instance, everything. She doesn't remember actually cutting his off.
Mm.
The next thing she remembered was being in the car. She
So
was
she
trying,
blocked. So she blocked
she
out.
blacked out.
Mm.
Yeah. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of that in a second, but she essentially, it does appear like she blacked out. She didn't know what she was
Mm.
doing.
Mm.
She says the next thing she remembers was being in the car. She was trying to drive, but one hand she had the knife, and then in the other hand she had his. So she's doubling it,
Mm.
and she obviously can't drive, which is why she promptly threw his out the window so she could have a free hand. Yeah, you might
Mm.
need a knife. Throw the out the window. You don't need that. Um, so she got to her job and she threw the knife away. Mentally, it was said she could have suffered from PTSD. I think 1,000% she did. Or saying mentally, she did suffer from PTSD, major depressive disorder, and anxiety disorder. She did not have control over her impulses in that moment. She went
Mm.
after the thing that causes her pain. And the thing that causes her pain is his.
Right.
But another person says she could have walked out of that apartment and go to the police department. But I ask you, what good would that have done if she did? Because she did do that. She would go to the police. Police would come out and, they had multiple police reports because they were being called out there multiple times. Nothing
Mm.
changed. Nothing happened. So what would her going to them saying, "Oh, he raped me," what good would that have done? Women are not believed anyways, especially when you have, like, this mentality of, "Oh, well, they're married, so it's not really rape, it's just sex." She wouldn't have
Mm.
been believed. I'm not saying cut his off,
Mm.
but I'm just saying, like, I can imagine in a situation like that, like, you're just like, "What do I do when no one believes me anyways? What do
Right.
I do?" So
And you just don't know what to do in that situation.
right. And again, I don't think she intended to cut his off. I don't
Mm.
think she did. I think she snapped.
Right.
She literally snapped. Um, and then Howard Stern enters the chat, y'all. I hate
Mm.
him. I've always hated Howard Stern. If you don't know much about Howard Stern, he's a misogynistic asshole. The things that he would say about women back in the day, which I don't know if he probably still does now, it was
No,
horrific.
his show. I think his show is canceled.
Good. It should be because
Yeah.
he's an absolute dirtbag.
Yeah.
He's
It
disgusting.
was the time. I mean,
I know
it,
it's at the time, but
it was fine, but
the problem
yeah.
is that it should never have been acceptable then. Like, even, kind of I'm piggybacking off of another podcast that I listened to, but, like, talking about, like, Britney Spears, for example, and the things that she had to endure, like, it's not okay for someone who to talk to a 17-year-old. I'm not saying Howard Stern, but I'm saying, it wasn't necessarily him, but, saying to a 17-year-old girl, "Oh, like, oh, when are you gonna have sex? Oh, you and Justin are dating? When are you and Justin gonna have sex?" Why is that okay? And
Yeah.
sexualizing a person who's under the age
Yeah.
underage, like, how is that okay? Yes, it may have been the time,
Mhm.
but I think what we're shedding light on now is it
Like,
never should have happened.
yeah, don't get me wrong, it was wrong,
Yeah,
alright? Even though
yeah,
it was the time, it was for me, it was still wrong in a lot
yeah,
of ways.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Howard Stern is on
uh
the wrong side of history
yeah,
in
he is,
this, in most things, but definitely in
I
this.
do think he does a lot of, like, adult, uh, film interviews.
Uh-huh.
I don't know when it was okay for him to just interview, like, celebrities and pop stars because he
Uh-huh.
did do interviews with a lot of celebrities as well, but,
I don't
like,
know,
he
like,
did
back then, like,
mostly.
where that
Yeah,
started.
yeah,
I mean, he's a celebrity now, like,
yeah,
people know him now,
yeah,
so I understand it now. I didn't
Yeah.
even know, like, because Howard Stern, the first time I ever saw him was when he was on America's Got Talent. He was a judge on that many, many years ago, and that's the first time I ever saw him, and I'm like, "Who the
Yeah.
hell is this guy?" I didn't realize that he was, a radio personality and that he had these views. I mean,
Yeah. He
no
was
offense
yeah.
to Simon Cowell, but I think the wrong decision was
Yeah.
having Howard Stern be a judge on that show. Like, that never should have happened, but they fired him and Simon came in.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if this was before he interviewed a like, the porn stars and all the adult
mhm.
stars slash I don't
Mm.
know. But wait. Was he a judge for American Idol or was he a judge for American
No, he was a judge for America's Got Talent.
Yeah,
America's
well,
Got Talent? Yeah.
yeah, th yeah,
But this was back again, like, in the 2010s.
yeah.
He has
Oh,
already been established at this point.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
okay.
and again,
Maybe
like,
because he had the niche following, I guess?
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Um, it's funny that you say the porn industry. Let's get to it. So,
Yeah,
Howard Stern, as I've said, being the disgusting jerk that he was or
yeah,
is, I think he just kinda wanted to he used John Wayne Bobbitt. John Wayne Bobbitt used him too, let's get this straight. But they used each other to keep each
mhm,
other in the spotlight. Um, and he would say to John in one of the interviews that he did, and I say one of them because there will be multiple. In one
mhm,
of them, he said, "She's not even good looking. She's got pimples. I think she just needs vitamin Bobbitt." You're disgusting, Howard. Like,
yeah,
because what? You think you look good? Have you seen your face?
yeah,
Like, you're ugly as and you wanna talk about someone else's looks? God damn. Okay. There
yeah,
was a client of Lorena who went to get her nails done, and,
mhm, mhm,
instinctively, she pulls her sleeves up, Lorena pulls her sleeves up,
mhm,
and the client could see the bruises on her arms. And
mhm,
because she could see them, and obviously she's shocked by the bruises on Lorena's arms,
mhm, mhm,
Lorena's demeanor changed. She was teary, she was shaking, and the client asked, "How did you get those bruises?" And she said, "From my husband. He apparently threatened that he would push her off the railing and say that she jumped, basically threatening to kill her." She
huh,
says, "You can't go back to him." Like, this is the client saying, "You cannot go back to him. Come
right,
stay with me." She said, "No, he'll kill me, and he'll kill you." The fascinating thing about this is that she contacted the prosecutor when she eventually found out Lorena was Lorena,
mhm,
and she contacted the prosecutor during his trial and said that, she had information and she wanted to divulge this. The prosecutor said, "Well, I can't use you. The jury is already deliberating, so I can't use you. But here's what I'm gonna do.
mm,
Call this person." This person was Lorena's counsel. So for her trial. So when she testified, this client, when she testified, the prosecutor did not cross-examine her. He basically said, "No questions." He helped Lorena in a way that he could. He was the one. This lawyer is the this prosecutor prosecuted John Wayne Bobbitt and then would prosecute Lorena as well. But he gave this woman a way to help her. I
mhm,
don't think that has ever happened before, and I thought that was absolutely incredible.
yeah,
Um, so, so the case is off to the jury. She was found not guilty. In the deliberation room, it was 11 to 1 at first. The
mhm,
foreman was the one that was holding out because he is an asshole. He was actually in this documentary. He says, "I think they all thought she was guilty, but, like, they didn't wanna indict her." But she was but she I don't think that's the case. I think he was just an idiot. But she was taken away to a mental hospital, much to her confusion. I guess no one explained to her, "You're not guilty, but you're not guilty for reasons of insanity. So you're going to a mental hospital.
Mhm.
So we're getting to the end here. John started doing porn. So that's why I said it's funny you say porn because he started
Yeah.
doing porn.
Yeah.
One video in particular that he did was with a Lorena lookalike, and he actually called this woman Lorena. Her name was Lorena. So he's
Oh,
profiting off of this.
alright.
And then there was another charge with another woman who said he assaulted her. He most likely did. But guess what, y'all? He said, "She was hitting me." So it's always them and not him. He was in prison for 60 days for that. Then he went to go get a enlargement surgery because his porn friends were doing it, so he figured,
Mm.
why not? Um, they also filmed the surgery, and called the movie Franken. Why, you ask, would they call it Franken?
Is it is there a reason why? Is it
Yeah,
near Halloween time, or
yeah,
was it just
you know, no, no, no. Karma is delightful. His got botched.
oh, wow.
Ain't that a bitch?
Huh.
It's freaking amazing. You had this urologist who perfectly put your back together, and
Mhm.
then you go and get a enlargement, and you screw your up. It's amazing. This is perfect. It's always my favorite part of this story. Lorena was released from the mental health hospital after 45 days. Then we get to the job where he was a greeter at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, which was a bar or maybe a strip club, I don't know. Then they got him to drive a limo that they had. He was being paid for that. He didn't understand the importance of driving the vehicle though, because he's going to be driving the girls that worked there. Be- Um, so then there was the drinking. He was drinking while on the job, which is like, you're working, you shouldn't be drinking. He would
Mhm.
drink and he would be a mean drunk. Mhm. When he was told to stop, he got angry and he was let go. But then he got rehired because they loved the attention that he brought. So you're just glutton for punishment at this point. And then he got
Mhm.
arrested for buying clothing and then returning them to different stores to get the cash. He was released on bail and then he ran. She decided to sell her so Lorena decided to sell her rights for a movie deal so that she can make some money to pay off her legal fees and move on with her life. So that's what she was doing. However, her boss, who helped her, got her that media representative, got her the lawyer. Turns out she took advantage of Lorena and she was getting 30% of her earnings, and Lorena did not know about this. So they are not friends anymore. Like,
Mm.
it very much rings true to the Monica Lewinsky situation where that woman was taking advantage of Monica. And now you see this woman taking advantage of Lorena. Like, women, can we please do better?
Mm.
Back with John, because let's not forget about him, he took off with a girl named Desiree who worked at the
Mhm.
Bunny Ranch. Essentially, for them, it was like stealing from for the business, stealing from them one of their
Mhm.
girls who would make about 50K for them. I don't like that because she's not property. I understand what they're saying, but that's really
Right.
gross. 2 years go by and she was ready to leave, the woman. And he flipped, beat her and dangled her MJ style over a balcony. He did pull her back up, but he tied her to the bed and he would rape her. He also sodomized her, so there's a trend here. He told her, "You're my Lorena now." Ew. Then she played dead and he checked her like for a pulse and I guess believed she was dead, unhooked her, rolled her into bed sheets. When he turned away from her, she ran. He was then
Mhm.
arrested. He would continue to be arrested multiple times throughout the years.
Right.
Then there was the bill for violence against women, had been passed under Bill Clinton, but then an election happened and it went from Democrat to Republican, and the money that they put towards this bill was then not put towards this bill because Republicans. Lorena a year after, went into shelters to talk about what she had went through, and she felt herself getting stronger. Her path to the American dream had bumps, but she went back to school. She
Mhm.
met David, who was a friend of hers, and then that maybe turned to more, and then they got married, and then they had children. The scarier thing is he tried to stay in contact with her following this incident up until
Right.
2010, so long ago. He claims she stayed in contact with me, but he was also the one saying, "Imagine the money that we would make if we got back together, or like if we had a baby, they would want an exclusive interview with us."
Mhm.
He's disgusting.
Yeah.
Not only that, he is a Trump supporter because he has a motorcycle and the license plate is DJ Trump, Donald J. Trump. So
Wow.
I think we can all say he's probably MAGA, and
Mhm.
that explains a lot. Honestly, explains a lot. The way he treated her, the way his family treated her, apparently, as well. I just wouldn't be surprised if they're a part of that as well. Um, yeah. So that made me really upset to see that license plate on his motorcycle, but at the same time, like, huh, I'm not surprised. So, but that is the story of Lorena Bobbitt and the amazing work that she has done for women in violence and ending the violence against women as well. Um, I do want to say they did mention OJ. I didn't really mention him in this, but they did mention him um and his crimes against, Nicole Simpson.
Mhm.
And um it's really sad to kind of see like Lorena was able to get out, and that's great. It was great she was able to get out, but like Nicole wasn't. And just that stark difference between the two.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that is it. That is Lorena Bobbitt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I answered your question because I know you had a question earlier. I can't remember what it was now, but I think I answered your question in terms of like, um, with her.
Yeah, you answered it and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, this was a really, really dark story.
It is, yeah.
If anybody was kind of triggered, we will
I will be doing a
give
trigger at the beginning of the episode.
warning. Yeah, in the beginning, yeah, because like, yeah. But yeah, yeah, pretty dark story for this. I know Women's History Month is supposed to be, enlightened, positive, and but
Well, you gotta fight. Unfortunately, I think for
yeah,
women especially, is like we have to go
yeah,
through this darkness to
yeah.
get to the positive.
Mhm,
And I think this month is a little different. That's why I said in the beginning it's a little different this time around
mhm,
because like we have to kind of get through the darkness to see where we go
mhm,
out of that
mhm.
and the positivity that comes out of those dark moments,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna
Okay.
make the last one is gonna be lighter for
Yeah,
next week, which I'm really
mhm,
excited about
yeah,
talking about this one. So,
yeah.
but yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. Well,
So,
that's it for us.
all right.
Okay. Bye everybody.
Bye, everyone.
If you liked what you heard with our podcast, you can head on over to our website, which is solo.to/next take podcast. There you can get any of the links to any of our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod. You can also find links to our Reddit page and many other things, I'm sure. Can't remember all off the top of my head. You can also email us at mikeltanika@gmail.com. There you can send us any inquiries that you have, any questions, or also any episode ideas. And if you do have episode ideas, just make sure you put in the subject line episode ideas, and we'll add it to our list. If you also liked us, you can like us, rate us, follow us on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can rate us, however, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll also move forward and share or spot a light on those who give us 5-star ratings in the future. That is it for us. We'll see you next time for the episode.